So you want to learn how to be successful. The first step is you have to take an audit of your life. You have to look at all of your habits and see where there are any gaps and cracks. For example, what time do you wake up? What time do you go to sleep? What does your diet look like? This is the number one thing that most people aren't doing when they're on the road to success. They're constantly thinking, I don't have the best strategy. Oh, I don't know enough. I'm not certified yet. But the truth is, what do your daily habits look like? Because what happens in the micro is what's going to compound in the macro. Now, this is just one of the most important questions you have to ask yourself to become wildly successful. Make sure you stay all the way through until the end so you can learn the 5 most important questions I had to ask myself before I went from being 25K in debt to multiple 6-figure CEO of my own company. The first question is, what does your life currently look like? So we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but let's get a little deeper. You've probably said things before like, it's difficult for me to focus, or I can never get things done, or there isn't enough time in the day. Now, I used to be that person. It was only when I used to study for these super intricate exams that I had to take to become a certified financial advisor, and I knew my job was on the line if I didn't pass these exams, so I actually did something that I never did before. I decided that when I was studying, I was going to put my phone in the other room, and I was going to time block to study, take a break, study, take a break. Now, I had 8 hours a day during my work hours to study for these exams, and I passed them on the first try, except the third one because I thought that the method didn't work, and I was like, let me just try it without it, and that just goes to show that it did work. So it's only when I realized that it wasn't that I wasn't able to focus, is that my environment wasn't primed for me to become successful. So think about in your life right now, is your environment primed for your success? Do you have distractions? Are you constantly looking on your phone? For me, I have all notifications off on my phone except text messages and phone calls, and during the week, my phone is mostly on do not disturb. And if you want to learn about this a little bit deeper, you can get the book Atomic Habits. I'm going to link it in the description for you. This book talks all about making 1% change every single day and how the tiny actions are going to compound over time. That's how you build successful habits. Question number 2 is, what do you consume on a daily basis? Now, there are 3 different parts to this. First, what food are you consuming? Second, what content are you consuming? And third, what energy are you consuming? So in terms of your food, are you eating a healthy diet? Because food is fuel. And this is something that I'm just recently learning, how important your diet is to your overall health, productivity, and happiness. Only within the past 6 months to a year did I really take control of my life in terms of my diet. I used to try to intermittent fast every day. I would drink a ton of coffee and hope to be super caffeinated, and my energy was so low. By 2 p.m., I was slumped. Once I started to actually eat 3 meals a day, eat high protein, and kind of live by this 80-20 rule, 80% of the time eat healthy, from the earth, high protein, 20% of the time indulgent foods, is when my productivity actually increased and I started becoming more successful because I didn't need to take a nap in the middle of the day, and I didn't need to take a long break or feel exhausted by 2 p.m. Now, I wake up at 5 a.m., so what my days currently look like is from 5 a.m. to about 9 a.m. is my creative time. So I'll start with my morning routine, which is about 30 minutes, meditation, journaling, all that good stuff. And then from 5:30 to 9:30 is my creative time. No phone, no talking to anybody, and I just work on my creative projects because that's the most important part to my business, and that's a thing that I can't outsource because that's me. Then around 9:30, I will go to the gym, do about a 30-minute workout, come back, and I will eat at 10 a.m. right after my workout, high protein. This is what's keeping me energized. So typically, if I wasn't eating or I wasn't in the habit of going to bed early, because you can't wake up early unless you go to bed early, I wouldn't have been able to continue working around 11 or 12. With continuous breaks in between, try to end around 5, cook a nutritious dinner, and then depending on the day, sometimes I will work after dinner. Most times I'll just take the rest of the night off. Next, what content are you consuming? I never watch the news. The news thrives off people being in fear. Think about your social media as well. Who are you following that you're constantly comparing yourself to, or you're judging them? What I started to do is I started to wish those people well and mute them, unfollow them, block them if that's what it needed to be. They're not actually helping me grow. If they're using tactics to run their business that I don't agree with, or that I'm comparing myself, that I'm not at their level yet, and not being able to see the behind the scenes or really knowing what's going on in their lives. Don't be afraid to mute or unfollow people where you need to. And lastly, who and what are you surrounding yourself with? So I know for me, I had to physically change my environment to see this next level of success in my life. I was outgrowing my old environment in terms of where I was living, right? I was living at my mom's house, which was an amazing opportunity, and I'm really grateful I had that opportunity, but I knew I wouldn't be able to reach this level of success in my childhood bedroom being in that environment. So I had to move out. And I think a lot of times people think, oh, I don't want to move to a big city because the rent, the this, the that. But you have to think of it in terms of opportunity. I don't know if I'd be where I am today if I hadn't moved out, moved to New York City, networked, been in this energy for this time, which has really helped me grow exponentially in such a short amount of time. Question number 3 is, what systems do you have in place? Just finished reading Atomic Habits for my signature group program that I coach, and I only open the doors every couple times a year, so you can click the link in the description if you want to join the waitlist. But this quote is really what stuck out to me the most. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So what systems do you have in place? Because one time I remember I had a friend text me and she said, Julia, how do you wake up early? I'm trying to do it, but it just doesn't really work. The first thing I had asked her is, what time do you go to bed? And she said, oh, usually around like 12 or 1. And I says, well, then you can't expect to wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. because everyone needs about 7 to 8 hours of sleep to really feel energized. So for example, I'll be totally honest with you, this morning I woke up at 6. My alarm went off at 5, but I wasn't actually able to wake up until 6 because I went to bed around 11. Now I typically go to bed between 9 and 10. So by throwing myself off last night because I was online shopping, I wasn't able to wake up at 5 a.m. and I had to rearrange my entire schedule today. And in my business, for a while, I constantly felt like I was running on a hamster wheel. I wasn't really doing the tasks that were actually producing revenue for my business. And I realized because I was spending so much time on social media, consuming content, constantly creating, that I wasn't actually stepping into the authority that I was as a CEO. So what I did is I created a system to actually implement a content strategy. And now I've outsourced to a social media manager so we can still have this effect of me delivering a personalized experience to my audience, which is you, but also freeing up my time so I can work on the things that absolutely have to be done by me, like sitting down to record this video, coaching my clients, creating my courses. Now the last 2 are the most important. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you pay attention here. And if you're still with me, comment I'm with you so I know that you are really ready for the next level of success. Question number 4, and most people don't know this. How are you when it comes to money? How do you feel about money? How are you when you have money in your possession? How do you handle money? A lot of people are just focused on creating more money or having more money without actually looking at their habits. Everyone is talking about an abundance mindset, and you can watch this video up here where I talk about it as well. But the real question is, how do you handle your money? Are you comfortable having a lot of money? Or are you the person that whenever you have money, you spend it right away because you don't trust yourself? What practical action are you taking in your life to actually build multi-generational wealth? And I'm not talking about investing in stocks, investing in crypto, or doing all that stuff. We don't have to get fancy here. But let's just talk about what you actually do with your money. Are you generous? Do you trust that money is going to come back to you? Do you donate your money? I personally donate a portion of my money every single month. This started when I was 25K in debt to really start getting myself into an abundance mindset. I donate $10 every single month to my favorite foundation, the Loveland Foundation, which I'll also link in the description for you. Next, do you save your money? Now, there's a lot of people in the spiritual community talking about, oh, don't save your money, trust that it's abundant. And I do agree with that. I do agree that you should be willing to release money as well as you are willing to receive money. You do have to save your money to feel safe. For me, I knew I wouldn't have been able to quit my job if I hadn't built up cash flow. When I was side hustling while I was working my full-time job, I made sure to save as much as I could so I could have a cushion, especially when you're starting out. So think about, how can I build cash flow? How can I donate to give back and be generous? And how can I continue to invest in myself, invest in my business, to continue to grow my skills? Now, I just read this quote the other day and it is extremely powerful. The truth is, the best investment you're going to make is in yourself. That's why this year I've reinvested most of my income into building my business and developing my personal growth. The number one best investment that you can make is the one in yourself. That will return the fastest. Ultimately, when you are growing your skills, you are being in the room with the right people, and you're learning from some of the best people, you can't measure that ROI. And that's what helps you collapse time and really evolve into multi-dimensional success. And question number 5 is, what are you doing with your time? How are you spending your time? Are you doing things that don't really light you up? Are you doing things that could be automated? Are you really being efficient with your time? So for me, is I time block by the hour. And at first I used to think, oh, am I neurotic? Am I too crazy? And then I started to realize that discipline equals freedom. And by time blocking by the hour is how I'm able to get so much done in the day. So what I would recommend for you is every single night, because remember, the night before is more important than what you're gonna do that day, is plan for the next day ahead. What time are you waking up? Plan by the hour, plan in time blocks so you actually know what you're doing so that you can focus on the revenue producing tasks and you can outsource everything else. Now that you know the top 5 questions to ask yourself before you can become wildly successful, the next step is to learn how to create habits that stick. Make sure you watch this video next and I will teach you everything that you need to know.